When you're an active mother of 4 and a successful accountant thriving in your career, the last thing you would probably expect is for a tiny tick bite to completely change your life's course. But that's exactly what happened to my guest today when a seemingly harmless bite evolved into a horrendous journey with chronic Lyme disease. If you're new here, I'm Raelan. On this channel and podcast, we dive deep into inspiring recovery stories from conditions like ME/CFS and long COVID and chronic Lyme disease. Many of the stories shared here are contributing to a research study at Goldsmiths, University of London, exploring recovery themes and seeking to understand how people get better. Today, I'm excited to talk with Kara Truong over in Woodstock, New Hampshire, about her journey and what led to her recovery. Thankfully, despite things looking quite hopeless for quite a while for Kara, she is now doing amazing, and she's here to share her recovery insights. This is one to make sure to stick around to the end for, because Kara shares a few interesting pieces of her recovery puzzle, including the one that was the most effective, a new experimental treatment that we have never talked about here before, that was the thing that finally brought her fully back to health. So let's dive in. Kara, so wonderful to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So what was life like for you before this whole health madness started?
Yeah, so before well, just to take a step back, I currently live in New Hampshire. After the pandemic in 2021, my family and I moved from the city of Philadelphia to rural New Hampshire. So we made the city to the country move. And, and that's where I met with my health struggle kind of as soon as we hit the country. And so life before, I was really firing on all cylinders, I would say. I'm a CPA, so I was a manager at Ernst & Young, which is one of the global Big Four accounting firms. I worked at Ernst & Young in Philadelphia for 10 years, and I was really fine. I was healthy. I was working. I'm a mother of 4. I have 4 children. So really, it was smooth sailing, pretty much smooth sailing, and everything was great. Yeah.
Okay, so plugging along, thinking life is going to keep going, everything is on a good track, and then what happened?
Right. So during the pandemic, my husband researched online ski resort ministry. Ski resort ministry is where you ski into church and ski down from church. My husband Googled this during the pandemic and decided that our family should go into ski resort ministry. So that's why we moved to rural New Hampshire and why I quit my job and, how we met the country. So we moved to New Hampshire, and that's where I had my 4th child. My 4th child was born pretty much 9 months after I got to New Hampshire. And then when my baby was 1 month old, we went to our local science center. So it was on the baby's 1-month birthday on Mother's Day at the science center. I was bit by the first tick of my life. So I was bit by a tick at the science center. And I thought I was fine, based on all the information that was available to me at the time. I removed the tick in a few hours, and I monitored for a bullseye rash. I monitored for any symptoms, and I was pretty much fine at that point. And that was May in 2021. And I was fine for a few months. So I had no symptoms really for a few months until August. August of 2021, I began getting mild symptoms. And at that point, I knew that I had been bit by a tick, and I knew that Lyme disease existed. So really, that's what I suspected right away when I started to get some symptoms.
Okay, so what sort of symptoms came up? How did you know something was up?
Right. So my first symptom was mild joint pain and sensitivity in my nerves. So the nerves on my skin and my whole body got very sensitive to touch and to temperature. Those were the first symptoms. But then Labor Day weekend, that's when I got hit kind of with the life-changing symptoms. So it was about a month after the mild symptoms came on. Yeah. So do you have a history with tick-borne illnesses? I don't.
Not.
Okay.
You think that would be a simple question to answer? Diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease years ago when my health challenges first started. I had done some testing and something came positive. So I was doing, like the heavy doses of antibiotics and the whole thing, and a lot of the Lyme disease, chronic Lyme disease treatment protocol, but it didn't seem to be helping me. In fact, it seemed to be making me worse. So my doctor abandoned it, and we sort of just moved on forgetting about that diagnosis and just thinking about it like chronic fatigue syndrome. So I'm not sure. I
Okay.
don't know if I ever had it. I don't know if it was faulty testing.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
my history.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was really hit with life-changing symptoms on Labor Day weekend of 2021. So I lost the ability to sleep. So I got insomnia where I just could not sleep, couldn't fall asleep, couldn't stay asleep. My heart started racing out of nowhere. So my heart just would go to 160 beats per minute and just keep racing all the time. I had that skin sensitivity burning. So I really got like burning all over my entire body, like on my nerves throughout my skin, which obviously would feel torturous. Um, my hearing got hit. So I got ringing in my ears all of a sudden. This all happened to me in one weekend, after being healthy my entire life. Um, I got a sensitive hearing where, every sound hurt my head, basically. My vision got hit where my vision became staticky and very sensitive to the light. I got brain fog where I felt really hazy and almost dizzy, kind of like I'm walking on a boat, and headache. And I got a headache, and tingling, a lot of tingling in my limbs and my nerves, like really weird feelings in all of my nerves. So that basically happened to me in one weekend. I almost felt like I was poisoned from head to toe, like just with all these physical symptoms. And then after you get physical symptoms, then that causes a decline in your spirits, So then I had anxiety, like what happened to me, trying to figure out what happened, how do I fix this, and how do I get back to normal life? Because I was kind of shocked that how quickly all the physical symptoms really remove you from normal life. Like you don't want to do any of the normal things that you previously did or interact with the people that you know when all of a sudden you get hit with all these torturous physical symptoms.
How were you managing this with four children, one of them being
Hmm.
a newborn?
Oh yeah, obviously it was very hard, especially with the insomnia. And I was breastfeeding. It was impossible. Yes, I felt, how am I going to overcome this?
It sounds like an absolute nightmare.
Hmm.
I think anyone would be really, really struggling.
Hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. Were you seeing doctors at this
Mhm.
point, or
So I did
what was
have like
going
an
on?
emergency room visit and an urgent care visit. But I had one friend who had chronic Lyme disease, who, I guess I owe everything to that God put that one person in my life who really provided me with all the guidance, all the steps to help me at this point. So I knew I had been bit by a tick. That's what I suspected right away because I just knew that that was the only thing that happened to me. So, my friend told me about an online natural health clinic where you can get additional private testing for tick-borne illnesses. I knew that the CDC testing had certain drawbacks. It doesn't really look at every strain of the bacteria. So I did testing with Vibrant Wellness. I had to order this test kit through this online natural health clinic where I paid out of pocket. I had to drive to Massachusetts to a special lab to get this blood work done and then wait 2 weeks for the result. So I did all of that. The emergency room and the urgent care didn't really help me that much. Like they didn't, didn't really help me that much. They gave me some IV fluids, but I did the testing with Vibrant Wellness, and then I scheduled an appointment with a Lyme literate naturopathic doctor in New Hampshire. I got the appointment for November, so there's a waiting list. I couldn't get in right away. My appointment was scheduled for November. And then in the meantime, I got the test results back from Vibrant Wellness, and it was positive for Borrelia burgdorferi, which is the Lyme spirochete bacteria, and the co-infections Bartonella and Babesia. So pretty much by the end of September, I knew exactly what happened to me. And that was all the guidance of my friend who had chronic Lyme disease, because that's very hard for people to figure out. Sometimes people go misdiagnosed for years, then they go to the emergency room and get IV fluids. They never really know what's wrong with them. But I'm very thankful that I had someone kind of guiding me with the proper testing and all of that at that stage.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
something that I don't know if it's changed in Canada because it's been a few years. 'Cause being from Canada,
Hmm.
my regular GP, this isn't even something that she even brought up or mentioned. And it seemed like
Hmm.
through conventional medicine, this was hit or miss, whether
Hmm.
doctors even quote
Mhm.
unquote believed in it, even though
Mhm.
we know it's a real thing. And
Mhm.
it was through a functional doctor, that he just, my symptoms, we were trying to figure out what it was, and they looked like they could match chronic Lyme disease potentially. So, but we had to do a very expensive,
Mhm.
testing to look for all the different strains. And
Mhm. Definitely.
yeah, it was very challenging to come
Mhm.
across information, treatment information
Mhm.
through conventional medicine, I found,
Definitely. Mhm.
exploring this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it really strange. It's kind of one of the most strange things I've encountered in my life, really. Why isn't this simpler to figure out? You know. Mhm.
Yeah, it's an odd feeling when you're used to relying on the medical system
Mhm.
to provide for you what you need, and then you face what's likely the worst situation of your life, and you kind of feel like you're on your own. And good thing
Mhm.
I had a friend who knew what was going on. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it shouldn't really have to be that way.
Definitely, definitely. But my friend struggled with mystery symptoms for 7 years before landing there. So I very thankful, that I had guidance, the right guidance. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what did treatment look like for you?
Mhm. Right. So I counted down the days until my appointment in November with that Lyme literate naturopathic doctor, who again my friend chose for me from an online database of Lyme literate doctors. And I went to this appointment, and the doctor explained all the different treatment options. So there's different options. There's antibiotics, there's herbs, there's a bunch of different therapies. But the doctor explained his preferred treatment method, which is something that not a lot of people have heard of, and it's fairly experimental and new at this point. It is a 60-day treatment where you nebulize minerals, and that disrupts the spirochete. So he explained to me this his preferred treatment method. He has treated 180 people with it, and about 12 naturopathic doctors across the U.S. use it. And it's not really well known, but that's what he likes to use. And obviously, you have to pay out of pocket. It's experimental. So that's what he described to me. But my family and I, we looked at the different options and did our own investigative research online. And we decided against that and picked the antibiotics and herbs. So I chose, I was going to take the route with antibiotics and herbs. I thought, that is a reasonable course of action to take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you took the information. It's a great mindset to have, because many of us, I know when I first got sick, I just pretty much did whatever the doctors told me to do. I'm like, you're in charge. I'm just going to do what you say. And this is
Hmm.
a much better, and I think more modern approach to the treatment of our health, is
Hmm.
that all these people out there are consultants, and it's our job to think critically and do some investigation
Hmm.
and really decide what's best for us.
Hmm.
So I really respect that
Hmm.
that's the route that you went. And how did that work out for you?
So that was the end of November 2021. And I had to stop breastfeeding before I started taking all of that because obviously there's no evidence to say that the herbs are safe for breastfeeding. So
Mm.
still dealing with all the physical symptoms, horrible, not sleeping. Then I had to stop breastfeeding in 3 days, which was, really the most horrible experience of my life. The first time I explained this, I started to cry, but I guess I'm feeling a little stronger right now. So, yeah. So I was forced to stop breastfeeding my baby to make everything worse. And I went to the pharmacy, got the doxycycline, ordered all these cocktails of herbs, and started taking it all. But I did not feel better. It didn't, I would say, even things intensified. And that was horrible. So, yeah, so this December, January, I was really not improving. And that was really a tough stage for me because I put a lot of hope in all of those things. Like went to the I figured out what was wrong with me. It felt like some major achievements so far, like I got the right testing, figured that out, found the doctor, picked a treatment, bought the treatment, stopped breastfeeding. Like, so I was thinking, okay, I stop breastfeeding and take the treatment, then this is going to go back to normal finally. But no, I didn't feel better. I did not feel better. So, so here we are in like January and February, and I'm a CPA. So I had a tax job lined up for that tax season where I was supposed to work during tax season. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't really know if I could even do the job, because of the physical symptoms. But I did start the job. So I started it, and I really couldn't do it because I couldn't sleep. And then I had skin burning like on my body, like a stinging feeling that I was feeling like tortured, like really in distress, pretty much. And I couldn't do it. So I canceled my job. And then just to talk more specifically about like how I was doing at this time. So basically I was just crying all the time. Like, I would like go to church and cry. Like I would sit in the back of the church and cry. Talk to my friends. They would come over to see me at my house and I would just cry. Talk to my mom on the phone. I would cry. Talk to some women at church and cry. Like I was not doing well, not coping with the situation, like not doing well at all. And I never wore regular clothes, like I wore pajamas all the time because obviously I had the skin burning that like was really painful. So I wore pajamas all the time and I never blew dry my hair. I never wore makeup. I never looked at myself in the mirror. Like I was just not doing well, to really describe, where I was at that stage. So hopefully that all comes across clearly. Yeah. So now like to the end of February, I was really at a rock bottom. Like didn't the treatment wasn't working. I wasn't feeling better. I was suffering. I didn't see any end in sight to the suffering, And I had worked really hard on who I was, before this, obviously. Like I worked on all that work experience and everything. And I felt like I lost it all completely. Like I just lost who I was. So I was really at a rock bottom in terms of my spirits and everything as of like the last week of February. I canceled my job. I had like no hope. um, and so, and you would think that like 4 children is enough to live for, right? But I had like, all these thoughts like, oh, my husband should just marry some different woman and they could take care of the kids and, that would be better. So I just was really at a rock bottom. So I was doing a lot of research online, watching a lot of these videos, watching your videos, and and I came across something called brain retraining, which I think you know a lot about, right? You've had a lot of videos on those. So I came across vital side brain retraining, and my husband forced me to sign up for it. Like he really signed up on the internet, paid for it, and sent like forced me to look at it. So the brain, because I was just really doing bad with the physical symptoms, with my spirits, with my outlook. I needed something to improve my overall situation. So the brain retraining, it had to do with identifying some positive things in your life that you could grasp onto and focus in on those things. And then once you do that, it builds some positive synapses in your brain and just helps the overall situation, so so that's what I did. I really had to kind of just sit down with a blank piece of paper and think like, well, what are the positive things in my life that I can enjoy, that feel good, that I can look forward to, that could create some positive momentum in my life. And at that stage, all I could come up with was taking long walks outside, sitting in the sun, and sitting by the river and enjoying the running water of the river. So, yes, so that's what I did. So I quit my job and I focused on those things that were positive in my life at the time. And okay, so at that stage, my recovery was called Earth, Wind, Fire, and Water. Yeah. So those.
I laughed. I think we're both laughing because it sounds a bit like some of these treatments. You're like, how is this a thing? How is
Uh,
this the thing that's going to fix me?
right.
All these serious
Mhm.
drugs and doctors and stuff, they couldn't do anything, but something that sounds like a rock band is going to do the.
Oh, maybe I should name my band that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
That would be beautiful.
Yes. Right. So I did that. So now here we are into April, and I was just, sitting by the fire, looking at the fire, feeling the warmth of the fire, walking, sitting in the sun. And like I would literally look at my cell phone and look at the weather forecast. And if it was cloudy for 2 days, I would look forward to the third day when it was going to be sunny because I knew I would look forward to that and I would enjoy that. And that would be something positive for me, So it did help me. This vital side brain retraining helps me a lot. And at that stage, I still had physical symptoms, but my spirits were improving. I had
Mhm.
I had the will to go on basically, and because I had some things to look forward to, and I could identify some positive things in my life. So then we come to May, and in May I tried the carnivore diet. So I really researching lots of different things online. So many stories. I read Michaela Peterson's story and Jordan Peterson, and they did the carnivore diet. So I literally only ate beef and lamb for the month of May in 2022. And I did experience some improvements from that. I had a slight improvement in sleeping and I had a slight improvement in headaches. So like, okay, that's good. Good. Um,
Mhm.
and I tried biomagnetic paratherapy, where they lay magnets on you and it stimulates your immune
Mhm.
system and it helps you to rid toxins. And I had some improvements. It helped me with sleeping a little bit. The lady who did it, I she I really got a lot out of her. Like she was really encouraging and really helpful and supportive. So I tried that. Tried a few different things, you know. Um, and I had some little improvements from these things, so I was having some physical improvements and some improvements in my spirits at this stage. And in the month of May, I had like 2 good days, so people talk about like good days and bad days. In the month of May, like that's where I was at. I had 2 good days where I went out with my family. We like watched my son's soccer game. I sat in the sun and it wasn't so bad. I thought, okay, this is my life. It'll be all right. So 2 good days basically. But still, every time I went to church, I was crying. Never wore regular clothes, never wore makeup. Like the improvements were small at this stage. So then this is when my husband, we had another tough discussion, and my husband wanted me to try the experimental treatment with the Lyme literate naturopathic doctor, because my husband has said, we have 4 children. He's the doctor that God has brought into our lives, and this has been about 10 months now. We need to try something different. And we knew for sure, we knew even if it might not work, obviously, like we knew it might not work, but maybe it would work. It was just really the next thing to try. And it's a 60-day treatment. So even if it didn't work, I could go back to taking antibiotics and herbs after the 60 days, basically. So I like to say it's a leap of faith, but my husband says a lot of things in medicine are experimental. Everything is experimental for a long period of time before it becomes mainstream. So, hey, he had success with this experimental treatment for people with tick-borne illnesses. Let's try it. You know, so my husband really wanted me to try it, but my family was very against it. They thought, I'm sure this is snake oil and it's, you have to pay out of pocket. And, they were very negative, extremely negative. So, um, but my family was very supportive in other ways. So I want to make sure to say some positive things about my family. No, they were my family, they were my mother and my brother and my dad, they were there on the phone with me every time I wanted to talk, with a million encouraging words, encouraging Bible verses, so I would not have made it through this if not for my mother and my dad and my brother.
And your husband.
Yes, but initially they were very skeptical of this treatment. Yeah, so I actually purchased it and started taking it without telling anybody, my whole family. So June and July of 2023, I took this experimental treatment for those with tick-borne illness, and I breathed it in for 60 days. I breathed it in every day, 24 hours apart for 60 days. And when you breathe it in, it burns. So I breathed it in. And as I was breathing it in, my lungs were burning, my throat was burning, my eyes were burning, sinuses. It's like not a pleasant experience. Like it really hurts. So then you're thinking, well, this is experimental and the ingredients are proprietary and it's painful when I breathe it in. What am I doing? you know,
What is it that you're breathing in?
Proprietary ingredients. I don't know. No,
I don't
no,
even really
no.
know.
They don't tell you what's in it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No. Yes. Yes. So this is called Leaps of Faith in Following Your Husband. Yes. So first it was ski resort ministry, then it was brain retraining, and then it was the experimental medicine. um, yes. So this is my favorite part to describe. So during those 60 days, I definitely became a different person. It was amazing. From the first day to the last day, I became a different person. I randomly, thoughts came into my mind, new thoughts came into my mind. And as the symptoms decreased, my functionality and my thoughts all increased and came back. So these are the like thoughts that returned to my mind. I thought I should start wearing makeup again. Like I literally started wearing makeup again spontaneously during this 60 days. So I started out wearing pencil eyeliner again for the first time, and by the end of the 60 days, I was wearing liquid eyeliner and eyeshadow. I spontaneously started blow drying my hair again. I spontaneously thought I should go shopping for some new summer dresses. Um, uh, there's a local musician here, a female country singer, and I enjoy going to her shows. I randomly thought, oh, I see that she's playing Friday at a restaurant. I should schedule I should text my friends who I have been crying to for 10 months, you know, and I should text them and invite them to go see this musician at a restaurant. And then my friends are probably looking at their phone being like, whoa, like what's going on with her? You know, like
Is she gonna cry the whole time? Like, what's
yeah,
happening?
right. Like they're afraid
But
of me. They're afraid of me at this point. Um, you know, so I should buy summer pajamas. I have a friend in Ireland. You know, I should call my friend and schedule a trip to go visit her in Ireland. So I just came back to life, literally. You know, after not functioning for 10 months. And I really captured those things. You know, as I was sitting at the restaurant watching the musician, sitting with my friends, I said to myself, like, this has not happened for a long time. This is good. Something's happening, you know? um, yeah, then I saw one of my friends who I had cried to for 10 months, and I said, I just went shopping for some summer dresses. Like you know, that hasn't happened in a long time. This is good. Obviously they knew I was trying a new treatment, and I was said like, I think something's happening because this is good. So yeah, so at the end of the 60 days, I literally had only two symptoms left. I had a constant headache, you know, so I was still suffering, had a constant headache and ringing in my ears. But the skin burning, all the nerve stuff completely went away. The anxiety completely went away, and all the other symptoms except for these last two went away. And that was July 30th of 2023. And then this brought me into the last phase of the recovery. So everyone I talked to, I researched a whole bunch of people on the internet who had taken this treatment and talked to some other patients of the naturopathic doctor. They all said that the final healing happened 6 months after the treatment. And I definitely did not believe them. I thought like, oh yeah, yeah, right. You know, um, after 6 months after the treatment, then my headache went away. So, you know, so then it actually happened to me. What they said was going to happen actually happened to me. And in February of 2024, the headache went away. I had a detailed calendar where I would record what is going on with my headache. You know, what am I eating and how much ibuprofen am I taking and what was the specific sensation like. And then in February, all of a sudden I could throw that calendar away and I didn't even have to think about it. So February 2024, all of a sudden I only had some ringing in my ears, which was just ringing in my ears. And I could make plans for the future, be excited about it, live my life, and and pretty much move on as normal as possible. As that was February, so now we here are in September of 2024, and as all the new positive experiences are accumulating in my life, so many positive, happy memories, new things, then this experience is actually fading into the past. You know, like as I'm thinking about preparing for the interview and looking at all the symptoms and everything, I can actually see how the memory of it all is becoming smaller, you know, like it's fading down. And and that's amazing. Like I never thought I was going to arrive there, honestly, you know, because there were times when I thought that I would be experiencing that forever. And then all the research I've done with other people with tick-borne illnesses, many people do suffer, you know, for years, for their whole life. And I'm so thankful that I landed here. Um, yes, that's pretty much the story. That's why I'm here today.
I'm just thinking, what an amazing thing it would have
Uh-huh.
been if we could take this video of you right now and just send it back to you on some of those worst times,
Mhm.
just to see, like, you know, because it can really feel like you might be stuck there forever, but just to see, wow, look how amazing I'm doing. It's not
Mhm.
that far off.
Mhm.
Just that hope, because it's
Mhm.
really incredible. You've been
Mhm.
through something so difficult,
Mhm.
but look at you now. That it's so happy for you.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So now, um, I really want there to be a purpose for all of my pain, and I want to think that this child came into my life for a reason, and there's a purpose for all of it. So, you know, so now I do. So I do ski resort ministry in the winter and Lyme disease ministry in the summer. You know, uh, so I just love to encourage anyone else who's going through Lyme disease, who's struggling with the symptoms, who needs a nugget of hope to hang on to. I love to do that. I talk to people online, on forums, and on Facebook groups, and just encourage them and let them know that it's possible to feel better again one day and live their life again, because that's what gave me hope when I was like really suffering. So I really want there to be a purpose for all the pain that I went through. And that's why I love to share my story and not kind of just go back to life as normal, which actually I am kind of going back to life as normal. But I would love to share the story and encourage other people going through it because I want there to be a purpose. And so I have a Bible verse I'd like to share. So it's James 1, 2 through 4. Count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So obviously, this was the biggest trial in my whole life, life-changing experience, and has changed me in many ways. And I want to see that. I just want to see, how that unfolds now, like, for whatever is next.
Do you feel like the same person you were before this all happened?
Oh, no, definitely. No, my husband does not think I'm the same person. No, no, I'm a totally different person in many, many different ways. So this experience has changed my character. It has changed my faith. It has changed my job. It has changed my hobbies. It has changed my relationships and really everything. So, character, I'll talk first about character. So, because my life was pretty smooth sailing up until age 33, I had some failures or drawbacks in my character, I would say. Like when I saw people going through trials or going through struggles, honestly, I guess it was easy for me to be a little judgmental, like, oh, well, they must have not taken all the proper steps, or, maybe those thoughts came kind of quickly to me. But I guess being in ski resort ministry, it's not good to have that type of personality, right? It was my husband's idea, though, the ski resort ministry. So, yes, I guess I need a little character development to be able to do all that properly. Now I'm completely different, definitely a different person. Whenever I see someone now going through a difficult situation in their life or a trial or a struggle, now I can definitely say, life is hard. Life is hard. Things happen to us that we have no control over, and that, just falls upon us. And as fellow humans, what can we do in that situation? We can come alongside and try to be something positive in the midst of all of that, in the midst of everything that life is throwing at us. So now when I meet people, it's totally different. Now it's, how can I pray for you? How can I come alongside of you? How can I be something positive, some positive momentum in your life in the midst of everything that you're going through? And people keep falling into my lap who are going through things now. It happens all the time. Yeah, so that's character. There's just one of the many ways that the trial has changed me. And I'd love to talk about one that's a little bit more fun. So during my 60 days of my treatment back in the summer of 2023, I broke my foot. So remember, I at that stage I was really focusing on my long walks and my sunshine in that stage of my recovery. So I was enjoying my long walks every day. That was something I depended on for good mental health and everything at that stage. I looked forward to it. And then again, it was my he bought me a bike with a baby seat on the back for my child, and it was too heavy. It threw the balance off, so then I fell off the bike and broke my foot. Yeah. So so then I couldn't walk, so then it was another one of those moments where I said, God, you broke my foot. Now I can't walk. What am I going to hang on to now? So I wanted to prevent another downward spiral, because I did have a downward spiral back in February of 2023, where I kind of didn't know what to do next. So I wanted to prevent another downward spiral. So I had to put in action all of my brain retraining vital side skills that I had learned. And I came up again with a blank piece of paper, and I thought, well, what can I do now? What do I have left that I can look forward to and enjoy? So with a broken foot and symptoms of Lyme disease and going through my treatment, I thought, well, I can still listen to music and I can sing, So I put on Facebook, does anyone know if there's karaoke around here anywhere? So I learned that there's karaoke 5 minutes from my house at the nearby restaurant every Tuesday night. So from that week on, myself and all my friends from church, the friends who saw me cry for 10 months, they came with me to karaoke every Tuesday night from that week on. And that was a hugely positive thing in my life during that last stage of the healing. So I practiced my songs, and this did not require walking. You know, so I practiced my songs and I sang them, and my friends would videotape me and we would laugh about it, and we created all these new fun memories. that even though I had a constant headache, because I had a constant headache until February of 2024, it was giving me a lot of positive momentum, and I was really happy about it. So now to take it a step further, actually now I'm a karaoke host. So now I host karaoke in a different town in a resort town. So in a town square of a resort town near my house. Every Friday night at 8 p.m. I host my own karaoke, and I have hosted bachelorette parties and wedding rehearsal dinners and bunch of different parties. So that is it's another example of how the trial has changed me into a different person, and how I had to put into action the brain retraining strategies, and how it actually brought something really great into my life. And in the ski resort ministry and meeting people and coming alongside people with trials, you know, this has been really fun that now when I meet people who need a little positive momentum in their life, I can invite them to do some fun activities with me. I've almost become a little bit of like a social director in my church, unofficially, I would say. Like, we're all facing some difficult situations in our life, but let's plan to go Friday night to listen to some live music. And we're going to get dressed up and we're going to make some memories. And then we're going to take some pictures and we're going to laugh about it. And we can go to some other live music, or you can come to now that I have my own karaoke, now I could just host the party. I don't need anybody. So before this has changed me completely, because before I was a CPA in an accounting firm, and actually now I'm a party host. So, and it just hits a lot of needs for me. It provides some happiness and positive momentum and memories with friends, and the music I enjoy, singing I enjoy, and it's all a result of the brain retraining strategies that I learned.
Wow.
Yeah, and the last symptom. So I do still have some ringing in my ears. It's the last symptom, and the literature said that sometimes that's a lasting. It could be lasting, like a permanent damage or whatever. But the music helps me to obviously provides relief for that last symptom. So I had to find something that provides relief for my last symptom, that provides happiness, and that's another way that the trial has changed me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is so incredible. I love your story so much. I've been on the edge of my
Yeah,
seat
yeah,
because I didn't know either going into this. I had a rough idea of your story,
yeah.
but not the details. And this is absolutely amazing. It's so heartbreaking hearing what you've gone through. Oh
Mhm.
my goodness, I had goosebumps almost the whole
Oh,
time.
thanks.
Like, oh, nobody should have to suffer
Uh-huh.
and go through what you did. The pain is just, oh, I just
Uh-huh.
really feel for you.
Thanks.
But to see you where you are now and all this joy and support
Uh-huh.
and empathy and love you're putting out into the world for people is
Mhm.
in these unique different ways is
Mhm.
really, really
Uh-huh.
cool. So
Yeah.
very happy for you, Kara.
Thanks.
This is amazing. And
Thank
such a great
you.
example too of how,
Mhm.
pulling together all the different pieces that work for you, because it's taken a few different puzzle pieces for you to get where you are. And there's a lot of talk about brain retraining these days. And for some people, it's pretty much the only thing they need. But for a lot of people, it's a piece of the puzzle that's going to work along with some other
Mhm.
things. So I just think your story is a
Mhm.
great example of how, yeah,
Thank you.
just try different things and find that combination that works for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and then obviously my faith was tested completely through this trial, right? Because you might lose your faith going through a very difficult situation. Like, why would a good God allow something so bad to happen to me? But I had to really dig in deep and figure out, well, why would something bad happen to me? Like, what are the reasons for this? Obviously the Bible is completely full of examples of people who go through difficult situations and suffer, and how that is used in the rest of their life in different ways. So I had to meet with pastors' wives and dig in deep into my faith to see, am I going to throw it all away, or am I going to dig in deeper and see how am I going to find something to hold on to that's going to really help me moving forward. So my faith was tested as well, definitely.
Yeah, very understandable. And I'm sure people
Mhm.
watching very much appreciate your honesty around this because I think that's normal and expected, and anyone in your situation would be having those thoughts. So it's just, yeah, will resonate for a
Thanks.
lot of people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tick bites are very, very prevalent in New England. So I would love for someone to watch this video and to say, like, oh wow, like I did get a tick bite and I have some mystery symptoms, and I would love for them to, learn about the proper testing and learn about the different treatment options and then feel better. And then, I definitely would feel like there's a purpose for everything that I went through. And, at the end of the day, that would really make me feel happy.
Yeah. For people watching, listening, just check the description and you'll find links to learn more about Kara. And you can see some of the amazing work she's doing around music and comedy and all sorts of really wonderful
Oh,
stuff. So,
thanks.
yeah. And I just also, at the end of every video, I send a shout out to one of our channel members. So I just want to say a quick hello to Amelia Wika. Thank you so much, Amelia, for joining. Big hugs to you. I hope you're doing well. So thank you, Kara. This has been amazing. I so appreciate your time and your honesty and bravery in sharing this all with people today.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for the opportunity to share the story, and so nice to meet you, and just excited for the future.
Yeah, for people watching, I know it's a lot to take in. So if you're not already subscribed, I do have a newsletter that I send out every week that gives you bullet point highlights of many of the interviews. So you can just get right in your inbox the key takeaways of what worked, what didn't, and what the key resources people used to get you there. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got a ton out of it, and I hope you will join me in this next one. I'll pop up here for you.